Welcome to another episode of California Limelight. I'm Will Wilson, and in this episode, I'll be exploring the moon, the mountains, the mansions, and the other side of Hollywood. So stay tuned so all of that makes sense. Now, I'm going to just dive right in. One of California Limelight's classic segment is our Top Trends, where Tony and I would explore trending topics from the entertainment world, like John Lennon's voice revived through AI technology, to King Charles's coronation, to hit movies, to iconic video game characters like Sonic, and so much more. There's truly an unlimited number of topics and trends in our ever-evolving world. And for those who've been watching California Limelight, you know that it's normally a way that we conclude our show. But I'm so excited about what's trending now, so we need to start with it. So, Top Trends! A century and a half ago, the call was to head west. Today, it seems there is a new frontier that beckons us upwards, towards the heavens. Nations and corporations alike are placing significant bets on space exploration, with 77 countries boasting space agencies and 16 having the capacity to launch payloads into the cosmos. As of late, the moon has been a focus of much attention. Russia's lunar expedition faced a setback when the lander crashed in August. However, India has made history by becoming the fourth country to softly land an unmanned vehicle on the moon, marking its first successful attempt near its south polar region. Subsequently, India has launched a mission to study the sun, showing their budding space capabilities. Not to be outdone, China and the United States have unveiled ambitious moon programs. NASA, eyeing the return to lunar exploration by 2025, remains steadfast in its mission. But amidst these advancements, concerns are mounting over the potential militarization of space due to earthly geopolitical differences. To complicate matters further is the absence of a comprehensive regulation governing space operations. Now, the existing Artemis Accords set out common principles, guidelines, and best practices that apply to safe exploration of the moon, and eventually beyond, as humanity extends the duration of space missions and its reach to Mars. So the Artemis Accords, proposed by the United States to govern outer space exploration, have met resistance from other countries. Now, the involvement of private entities such as SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic further complicate this, stirring debates about profit motives and national responsibilities. Amidst these grand pursuits, a seemingly more lighthearted yet significant milestone was achieved. Virgin Galactic successfully executed its first ever space tourism flight in August, carrying 3 passengers, including a mother-daughter pair and an Olympian. The VSS Unity soared into space from New Mexico, marking a momentous occasion. With hundreds on the waiting list, tickets for future flights are currently priced at $450,000. Oh my goodness. Does anyone have a spare $500,000 or cool $500,000 laying around? All right, back on track. As the enthusiasm for space exploration is literally skyrocketing, concerns about managing space debris or space junk loom large. The accumulation of debris may pose challenges for future expeditions and satellite operations. Whew, wow, that was a lot to report. I mean, there's a lot of really exciting stuff in there, and there's also some worrisome stuff as well. But it looks like 2023 had been a pretty successful year. Now, all right, that's the latest trend on the intensifying space race. Now, California Limelight might not be able to get us into space at season 1, but we are reaching new heights thanks to the Tramway. The Palm Springs Aerial Tramway is celebrating its 60th anniversary. Open to the public, there are 2 tram cars that take you from the desert floor to the breezy top of Mount San Jacinto Peak within just minutes. The Palm Springs Aerial Tramway is the world's grandest rotating aerial tramway. Unveiled in September of 1963, this engineering marvel offers a passageway from the Coachella Valley floor to the summit of the San Jacinto Peak. Prior to its creation, the sole passage to the mountain summit demanded long and difficult hours hiking from Idlewild. Over 20 million travelers have experienced the breathtaking 15-minute journey from the valley station to the mountain station, offering a cool retreat. It all started with a visionary engineer, Francis Crocker. He gazed up to the Mount San Jacinto snow-capped peak and longed for a cool retreat from the desert heat, and this sparked his ambition for the Tramway. But it wasn't a smooth operation to get it underway, and he faced hurdles and delays due to political roadblocks and wartime disruptions. After years of setbacks, and finally opening in 1963, and it was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. Through generations, the Tramway's legacy remains a tribute to the foresight, determination, and enduring spirit of Francis Crocker. Now I'm on top of the Tramway, which is an impressive 8,516 feet above the city of Palm Springs. Now, of course, I didn't hike up here. I took the Tramway, and it was only 15 minutes. Now, to put this in perspective, the world's tallest mountain, Mount Everest, in the Himalayas, is an impressive 29,032 feet. So we're not even a third of the way to the tallest mountain in the world. Now, I had an interview with a Mount Everest climber, Byron Smith, who his climb was the first ever televised. Check it out.
We arrived in Kathmandu excited about our journey that lay ahead. From here, we would fly by plane into the mountain village of Lukla and start our 2-week trek to Everest Base Camp. We'd trek north up the glacial-fed Dude Cozy River Gorge. From here to base camp, we'd climb 1,000 feet per day, and every third day or 3,000-foot gain, take an additional rest day to lessen the likelihood of altitude sickness. Climbing to base camp alone, we'd ascend the height of Everest. And during the whole expedition, we'd climb 150,000 vertical feet, or 28 miles in total.
Sitting with me here is Byron Smith. So Byron Smith has a lot of notable and very impressive accomplishments over his career, including his Byron Smith dealership that was expansive across the rural communities here. Now, you also have a very noteworthy accomplishment, climbing to the top of Mount Everest. And Mount Everest is a very difficult and dangerous and even deadly accomplishment. So, not only did you make it to the top, but you also had to do it twice. Isn't that right?
That's correct, Will. And thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on Limelight. Thank you. So, yeah, Mount Everest has its challenges. It was a goal that I, at the age of 16, after reading John Hunt's book. He was the expedition leader of the 1953 British expedition. After reading his book in 1976, I said, one day I'll climb Mount Everest. And so I put together the building blocks in order to allow me to do that over time. And in 2000, so that was a lot of years later, I succeeded on climbing to the top, May 21st, 2000.
Rewinding time just a little bit back before that, what was it about Mount Everest that really, struck that ambitious chord in you? You've been very ambitious on a lot of different features in your life. But...
Well, as a goal setter, I just, Mount Everest has always been classified, to whatever degree, as the ultimate symbol of challenge, achievement, and dedication, both personally and professionally. And I just wanted to challenge myself mentally and physically on that venture to prove to myself that I could do it. And so I did have a setback in 1998. I was 270 vertical feet short. We ran out of rope and oxygen. Nobody summited that day. And we couldn't go back down and, physically grab more oxygen. It's just not physically viable, to run back down and grab it and come back up. And we only had enough for one summit push. I decided to come back to complete my goal, because I think that's very important to complete goals. And I came back leading and organizing my own expedition, which turned out to be, at the time, and possibly even now, although I'm not sure, the most televised expedition in the history of Everest back in 2000.
For those of you who don't know, you do need oxygen to make it to the very top. The air is so thin, it's very cold. There's a lot of preparation. How long exactly does it take?
Well, it's about 3 months by the time you leave home and come back home. And not everybody can acclimatize to the height of Everest. That's 5.5 miles straight up in the air, and it's 29,035 feet. So it's it's quite a project.
Now, technology has changed so much that anyone in the world, as long as you have a device and a connection to a Wi-Fi, which is pretty easy to get these days, and now anyone can broadcast their own treks and their own expeditions of all sorts. So what's your impression and your take on the technological advancements in 23 years, especially because it was difficult to put a team of people together to broadcast your Mount Everest climb in 2000?
So we used what was called a Televised teleconferencing system so this was very unique and the first time ever used on Everest. And it was a device that would compress the audio and video signal and send it back to North America. It worked fine, but if you moved too quick, it would pixelate. And the device, which is like a heavy, thick laptop-sized device, would be probably about 30 pounds in itself. The batteries to power that are going to be about 30 pounds because they were lead gel battery. And then we broadcast that through two train satellite phones, which you had to tri-fold out the antenna, which was panels. And if there was any wind, that's just going to blow. And so we were getting solar flares. It was becoming, it was quite onerous. And we did 2 broadcasts a day back to North America.
If you were to do the climb today in 2023, what would that look like, do you think? Would you, especially if you were to broadcast it, especially comparing your experience in 2000 to 2023, what would that look like today?
Well, I believe, and it's not that I've really checked into it, but I just have to believe that everything would be half or a third of the size and half or a third lighter. So it'd be an easier proposition in order to facilitate. And we would be able to more in real time get everything right back.
What was the idea and how did the idea start to broadcast your climb? Was that something that you had conversations with years before? Was it something spontaneous? Why your trip? Why your climbing?
Well, I was being interviewed in Toronto at a major television station, and they said, "Boy, we should come." One of the producers says, "We should come to Mount Everest with you guys." I said, "Well, let's make it happen." And he got me the phone number for the president of the television corporation, and I made a phone call. I got a phone call back, and one of the things that he said to me was, "What is it you want?" And I said, "I want nothing from you other than a conduit to broadcast this virtual field trip back to Canadians and people all over the world."
It really captivated audiences, not just in Canada and the United States, but it captivated a lot of people all over the world because they were worried. They were worried for you and the team's safety. They were watching your hardships, your struggles. They were watching your triumphs. And then finally, that day that everyone can remember where you said, "I can't go any further. I'm on top of the world."
I believe it was May 6th. We were at Camp 4, and we were going for the summit that evening. We had arrived at, let's say, 10 in the morning at Camp 4, which is the death zone, 26,200 feet. We had set, the Sherpas had set up our tents. So we were in there resting, recuperating, rehydrating, fueling ourselves to whatever degree you can, which is usually just Ichiban soup and maybe a chocolate bar. And the winds were picking up that particular evening. And at around 8 p.m., my Sirdar, or head climbing Sherpa, Lakpa Sering, he had, I said to him, "Well, what do you think?" And he says, "Oh, it's getting really windy." And the weather forecast wasn't for that high of winds. So you could never trust the weather forecast. So we made the decision as well, after discussing it, not to go. And that night, we had at least 100-mile-per-hour winds. It was starting to lift our tents up. We were having to push our feet up against the tent poles because the tents were bending in. And we had to descend down to base camp that next day, and you couldn't even see in front of you. It was pretty full on.
What was the moment like when you reached the top, right? Where those words are etched into the North American television screens, like, "You can't go any further."
Well, I just got the chills. mentioning that. Today is my son's birthday, and he means everything to me, and my son's name is Zach. And Zach was 10 years old at the time, and I remember broadcasting back down to base camp, which was transmitted back to North America live. So at 7:05 a.m. Nepal time is when I summited, so it was p.m. in North America. And I, they had, it was only after the fact I could see the cameras on my son. And as he was hearing that Dad had summited, and I had broadcasted that, can you call, and I broadcasted my phone number on national television, and and let them know that I summited, and I thanked my family and my son and all of the Sherpa and all the expedition members and friends and family for helping allow me to pursue my dream, my goal of climbing to the top of the world. And it was extremely emotional. I was crying, and I cry easy. I can cry in a commercial. It was, but I knew we were only halfway home, and the most dangerous aspect of any climb on Everest is your highest point that you get to. You have to come back down, and most accidents occur on the way down on Everest. People are knackered, they're tired, it's easy to lose your concentration, or easier. And when you're climbing up, you can fall into the mountain, right? When you're coming down, you're facing out of the mountain, except on certain steep parts where you're facing in and you're down climbing. And so it was, from the south summit to the summit of Everest, you got a 10,000 foot drop on the right-hand side down into Tibet. And on the left-hand side, you've got an 8,000 foot drop down into Nepal. So there is very little room for any error right there. And as we're coming across that ridge, and the rope was blown on the other side of the ridge, and we all remember about that 1996 Everest disaster. And I was wanting to ensure that all of my Sherpa were safe as we're coming across. So, I'm waiting on that ridge right below the south summit, and knowing it was just a constant push and rush of wind, and it was. It was pretty tense.
So what's some advice that you can give to those who might be either considering a quest on Mount Everest or to achieve their dreams, if that, whatever that may be? What's some advice that you can share with everyone?
It behooves me when people talk about, commercialization on Everest. Everest is a big mountain, can handle an awful lot of people, and it does. People get compressed into time zones, so you see these long lines, but the reality is that's just the reality and it would behoove anybody to inhibit somebody from achieving their goal. So I believe in goal setting and pushing yourself mentally and physically. So live your dream. And if someone says no, it's okay to walk the other direction because you want to. Nobody should be handicapped because somebody else doesn't think it's a great idea.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It was a pretty amazing trek, and being able to
thank you very much.
This in 2023.
I'm happy to be on Limelight.
Thank you, Byron, for sharing your story and adventure to the top of the world. Now let's drop all the way back down, 479 feet in elevation. Real estate in California has always been a fascinating topic. Take Frank Sinatra's former LA party estate, for example. Nestled in Chatsworth, California, it is now up for grabs, listed at nearly $9 million, which is a dramatic down from its $21.5 million ask in 2021. With its recent price cut, this architectural marvel boasts a grand parlor featuring sparkling glass walls overlooking the pool and patio, setting the stage for luxurious living. But aside from Sinatra's legendary digs, California is no stranger to famous residences. Take, for instance, the Holiday Mansion in San Marino, where Kate Winslet's character in The Holiday swapped her quaint UK cottage for Cameron Diaz's lavish LA mansion. And who could forget Ferris Bueller's escapades in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Well, the movie was set in Chicago, but the Colonial House is actually in Long Beach, California, becoming an iconic spot for fans. Now, stepping into the realm of TV classics, the Painted Lady from Full House graces San Francisco's Broderick Street, an integral part of the show's opening credits, standing tall amongst the Painted Ladies. Now, let's not overlook Murder, She Wrote. That home is located in Little Lake, Mendocino, California, a historic cottage used for exterior shots. Its immersion into the era with preserved antiques and decor. For your 90s sitcom enthusiasts, this is big news. The iconic mansion from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, located in North Bristol Avenue in Los Angeles, is opening its doors for a unique opportunity. Will Smith himself, in collaboration with Airbnb, is granting fans a chance to spend the night at the very property that graced our screens as Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian's home. Well, we've been exploring these remarkable residences. Let's not forget the breathtaking architecture and allure of Palm Springs, which has the largest concentration of preserved mid-century modern architecture in the world. The Greater Coachella Valley has an incredible range of style and distinctive home designs. While not always evident, many homes have a serene backyard paradise. The valley is a place where we can spend most of the year outdoors, so the backyard is a very important element. Now, speaking of backyards, I've always been intrigued about the visionary developments and renovations happening around here, and how it shapes the iconic outdoor beauty that's all across the valley. Fortunately, I know just the person to shed some light on this, so let's go investigate. So we're with Eli. So what does it really take to put a beautiful backyard all together?
Well, it takes experience. We have the experience to design the yard. We've done everything. We designed it, we've done all the work, and it's fun.
And tell us about all the different things that are going on here.
We built the fountain that you see, the fireplace and the barbecue, and we built the gazebo. We did all the landscape. We're still working on it, but almost there. But a lot of work, yes.
Outside is a place that we can enjoy most of the year, isn't that right?
Yes, great mountain views, great time of the year right now, nice weather. You can enjoy it.
Now, I would like to see if I can help you out. Is there any task I could do?
Sure. We're doing the fireplace right now. You want to lay bricks?
Sure, I'll give it a try.
All right.
I'm going to put this brick on. How was that, Eli? Oh, you're so nice. You're so kind. All right, well, I get this finished. Take a look at the other side of Hollywood. Welcome to another segment of The Other Side of Hollywood. It occurred to me that I have actually never addressed the origins of Hollywood. So, lights, camera, history. Hollywood is a name synonymous with glamour, drama, and the cinematic industry as a whole. But did you know the scoop on how Tinseltown actually came to be? Now hold on to your popcorn because we're going to take a roller coaster ride through the origins and the evolution of Hollywood. Situated in the northwest of downtown Los Angeles, Hollywood traces its roots back to the late 19th century. In 1886, Harvey Wilcox and his wife decided to move to California from Kansas. They chose to name their 120-acre lot Hollywood, after those lush holly bushes in the landscape. It wasn't until the early 20th century that Hollywood truly stole the show. As the film industry boomed, this neighborhood became the star-studded epicenter of American cinema. So let's roll out the red carpet through Hollywood's blockbuster eras, starting with the silent film era. Imagine no sound, just pure visual storytelling and live music. Icons like Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford graced the silver screen, making this era an absolute sensation. But finally, in 1927, sound bursted onto the scene, revolutionizing movies forever. Think Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, and the timeless classic, The Wizard of Oz. This was the golden age, where film spoke volumes and left audiences spellbound. Fast forward to post-World War II, the Silver Age. Hollywood faced TV's takeover, with the households glued to their small screens. Movie theaters felt the pinch, but Hollywood wasn't going to go down without a fight. They unleashed widescreen and 3D technology to keep audiences coming back for that larger-than-life experience. Next was the New Hollywood era, a rebellion against the status quo. Films like The Godfather, Taxi Driver, and Jaws challenged norms and set a new standard for storytelling. Then sagas like Star Wars emerged in 1977, which became a hallmark of cinematic history, spanning across generations. Its revolutionary storytelling style, blended with futuristic movie technology like CGI, continues to captivate audiences today. Then merged the VHS tapes, and later on, DVDs, revolutionizing the movie industry once again, where you could watch your favorite flicks right at home. Suddenly, Hollywood wasn't just the big screen, it was your living room. Now, not to mention the advancements we have commonplace nowadays with instant streaming like Netflix and Roku. Oh my goodness, my head is spinning from all these technological advancements and changes that we've witnessed in our lifetimes already. Now, there's a case on both sides to express the benefits and downfalls of the ever-changing technological advancements of the movie industry. But it's certainly fascinating to see the evolution. While theaters already saw drastic declines pre-pandemic, the pandemic certainly did not help. But it's not too late to change the course of history and support the theaters like the good old days. I hope you enjoyed this walk down historical lane. And that's it for The Other Side of Hollywood. So I took you to the moon, on a mountain excursion, and a soar through Californian mansions, and a historical field trip of Hollywood. A very special thank you to Leland from All Valley Barbecue and Spa, and thank you to Aaron at AKB Paving Stones and Landscapes for the incredible backyard transformation. Thank you to Fiesta Ford and Quick Lane, whose enduring support has made it possible to focus on community content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps us bring more community content to the limelight. We would love to hear from you, so leave a comment down below or email us at californialimelights@gmail.com. And most importantly, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that you watched it all the way to the very end. I'm Will Wilson, and see you next time.